It's certainly very inspiring just to be here, just to be in the presence of all of you. And I look forward to finding out what I might say in this context. So one thing that crossed my mind in preparing for this just a couple weeks ago, I was thinking about this great MIT professor, Seymour Papert. And Seymour Papert, about 20 years ago, had this great insight. He was working with some 4-year-olds at a preschool, and one of these 4-year-olds asked, "How do giraffes sleep?" And nobody knew the answer to this question. And it wasn't the age of the internet yet. You know, the internet was just kind of blossoming, and nobody had a cell phone in their pocket or an iPad to turn to. And so nobody knew. And so they just had all these theories bubbling up, but in the end, nobody knew. So then he goes home that day, and he has this whole library of books. And what struck him was how fortunate he was to have this library book, so he could find the answer. But he also thought that it wouldn't be long before there would be this thing, and he called it the knowledge machine. He figured before long there would be this knowledge machine that could be accessed even by 4-year-olds with a few simple gestures, and they could ask the question, how do giraffes sleep? As I was thinking about this, and I was in the middle of nowhere in Illinois while I was thinking about this, and I pulled out my cell phone and I thought, well, how do giraffes sleep? And it turns out you can get 56,000 videos on YouTube about giraffes. And then you can, you can go even further with that. You can, if videos aren't your thing, you can look it up on Google Scholar, and you get these very sophisticated, analyses of how giraffes sleep. And this one explains that giraffes have this very unique way of sleeping. They don't sleep very often, and when they do, they curl their head around to their croup. Now, I don't know what a croup is, so I had to turn to Google Images, which there are, of course, tens of thousands of Google Images showing how giraffes sleep. And if you don't yet know what a croup is, this picture might explain it for you. And this is the age we live in. We live in the age of the knowledge machine. And what I'm here to tell you is that it means an absolute fundamental change in how we go about education and the ultimate goal of education. Because the knowledge machine, the trick about the knowledge machine is that it only works with questions. If you don't have questions, you have the world's largest distraction device. If you have questions, you have at your fingertips the most amazing knowledge machine ever invented, larger than all the libraries ever, and access to experts and a new way of communicating and connecting that humans have never experienced before. That's the possibility. But it all requires the question. It requires this love of questions, and you need that. And I want to pause for a second and talk a little bit about what questions really are. Think about what a question is. A question is, first off, the gateway to all significant learning. It's the gateway to all real learning. It's not grades that motivate us to real learning. It's a question. And I don't think it's a mistake that the word quest is right there in the word question, because the best questions challenge your taken for granted assumptions. They challenge you at a very deep level. And often the best answer to a question is another question. And so you find yourself on this lifelong quest.